The first time I met Queen Lyrith, I didn't know she was a queen. At the time, she was simply the quiet alien woman who stood behind me in the armory, watching me struggle with a set of armor that had clearly been designed for someone much taller than me. The armor belonged to the Interstellar Defense Corps, an elite coalition of dozens of alien civilizations united to protect the galaxy from extinction-level threats. Humans had only been part of the Alliance for 6 years, and most species still treated us like fragile curiosities, which was fair, considering I was currently losing a fight with a chest plate. "Hold still," the alien woman behind me said softly. Her voice was calm and strangely melodic. Before I could protest, her long fingers reached forward and adjusted the locking clasp on my shoulder. The armor snapped perfectly into place. I blinked in surprise. Thanks." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she studied the armor carefully, her glowing silver eyes scanning the joints and seals like a technician examining a machine. "You tightened it too quickly," she finally said. "If you move like that in combat, it will lock your breathing." I raised an eyebrow. "You an armorer or something?" She shook her head. "No." Then she stepped back. For a moment, I caught a better look at her. She was tall, easily a head taller than me. Her skin carried a faint violet shimmer under the armory lights, and long strands of dark hair fell over her shoulders like liquid shadow. She wore simple travel robes instead of military armor. Definitely not a soldier. "Then, how do you know so much about combat gear?" I asked. She tilted her head slightly. "I have watched many warriors put it on." That answer somehow raised more questions than it answered. Before I could ask anything else, the armory doors opened with a loud metallic hiss. A group of alien officers entered, and the moment they saw the woman behind me, something strange happened. Every single one of them froze. Then they dropped to one knee. My brain short-circuited. One of the officers spoke with obvious tension in his voice. "Your Majesty." I turned slowly. "Your Majesty?" The woman looked mildly annoyed. "I asked for privacy," she said quietly. The officer lowered his head further. "Forgive us, Queen Lyrith. We were told you wished to inspect the deployment." Deployment. I looked back and forth between them. Then realization hit me like a freight ship. The quiet alien who had just fixed my armor was the ruler of one of the most powerful species in the Alliance. And I had asked if she was an armorer. Fantastic. I immediately tried to stand at attention. "Your Majesty, I—" "Relax," she interrupted. Her tone was calm, almost amused. "You were not informed. That is not your fault." Still, my face burned with embarrassment. She turned to the officers. "You may rise." They stood, though none of them looked comfortable. Queen Lyrith glanced back at me. "What is your name, human?" "Elias Mercer." "Are you assigned to the Forward Assault Group?" Yes." Her gaze lingered on the armor. Then she stepped closer again. "Turn around." I hesitated for half a second. "Turn around," she repeated, slightly firmer. I obeyed. She examined the back plating carefully. Her fingers brushed lightly across the armor joints, adjusting 2 small stabilizers near my spine. "You were issued the older model," she murmured. "Yeah, humans usually get the leftover gear." She paused. Something about that seemed to bother her, but she didn't comment. Instead, she stepped back again. "It will function properly now. Thanks." A few seconds passed in silence. Then one of the officers cleared his throat nervously. "Your Majesty, the fleet briefing begins in 10 minutes. Queen Lyrith nodded slowly, but she didn't leave immediately. Instead, she looked at me again. Her silver eyes studied my face with strange intensity. "Elias Mercer," she said quietly. "Do humans often volunteer for dangerous missions?" I shrugged. "Someone has to." That seemed to amuse her slightly. You speak as though death does not concern you. Oh, it definitely does, I said. But fear doesn't stop things from happening. For a moment, she simply stared at me. Then she turned toward the door. Come, she said to the officers. They left together. But just before the doors closed behind her, Queen Lirith glanced back once more. And for a brief moment, our eyes met. 3 hours later, I was preparing for the most dangerous mission of my life. The enemy fleet had appeared suddenly near the Outer Rim colonies. No communication. No warnings. Just ships. Thousands of them. The Alliance believed they were a rogue species, known only through ancient records. A civilization that consumed entire star systems. The plan was simple. Our assault fleet would intercept them before they reached inhabited worlds, which meant we were walking straight into a war zone. The armory was nearly empty now. Most soldiers had already boarded their ships. I stood in front of a mirror, fastening the final pieces of my armor. The room was quiet. Then the door slid open. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Queen Lirith's reflection appeared behind me. She was alone. No guards. No officers. Just the same quiet presence from earlier. You are preparing again, she said. Trying to, yeah. She stepped closer. Her reflection watched carefully as I secured the final back seal. Your hands are shaking, she observed. First time leading a boarding team? I admitted. That is understandable. I locked the chest plate. The armor hummed to life around me. Well, I said, guess this is it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said something unexpected. Turn around. I faced her. Up close, the queen looked different than she had earlier. Less distant. Less royal. Almost thoughtful. You are afraid, she said quietly. Yeah. You still intend to go? Of course. She studied me carefully. Then she stepped behind me again. Your shoulder seal is misaligned. Before I could react, her fingers began adjusting the back of the armor. It felt strangely normal, like a technician helping a soldier prepare. But something about the moment felt heavier than that. The queen of an entire civilization, personally fixing the armor of a random human soldier. Why are you here? I asked quietly. Her hands paused for half a second. Then she continued working. I wished to observe. Observe what? You. That answer confused me, but I didn't press. Her hands moved carefully across the armor's backplating. Then suddenly, she froze. Completely. Her fingers stopped mid-motion. The room fell silent. At first, I thought she had simply finished. But several seconds passed. She didn't move. Your Majesty? I asked. No response. The queen was staring at something on the back of my armor. Something I couldn't see. Her breathing had changed. Slower. Tighter. I turned slightly. Is something wrong? Still no answer. Then she whispered something so quietly, I almost didn't hear it. Impossible. My stomach dropped. What? Finally, she stepped back. Her expression had changed completely. The calm composure she carried earlier was gone. In its place was something far more unsettling. Shock. You must remove the armor, she said suddenly. Why? Now. Her voice carried an urgency that made my chest tighten. I can't just remove it. The command echoed through the armory. Reluctantly, I unlocked the back seal. The armor plates opened slightly. The queen stepped forward again. This time, she reached directly into the inner lining of the back panel. Her fingers pulled something free. A small metallic device, barely larger than a coin. My blood ran cold. That wasn't there before, I said. Her face darkened. No, she said quietly. It should not be. What is it? For several seconds, she simply stared at the device in her hand. Then she said the last thing I expected. It is a tracking beacon. The room felt suddenly smaller. A beacon? Yes. From the enemy? Her silver eyes met mine. No, her voice dropped to a whisper. From someone inside the Alliance. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. Someone on our side had planted a beacon on my armor, which meant the enemy fleet would know exactly where our boarding team entered their ships. Which meant, it's a trap, I said. Queen Lyrith nodded slowly. Yes. Silence filled the armory. Then I asked the obvious question. Why me? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned the beacon over in her hand, studying it. Then her eyes widened slightly. When she looked back at me, her expression had changed again. This time, it was something even more shocking than fear. Recognition. This was not meant for you, she said quietly. What? Her gaze drifted back to the beacon, then to the armor, then back to me. The signal signature, she murmured. It is calibrated to track Royal Command armor. My brain struggled to catch up. Royal what? Her voice was barely audible now. This beacon was meant to be placed on me. The armory felt ice cold. Someone in the Alliance had tried to plant a tracking device on the queen of one of its most powerful civilizations. And somehow, it had ended up on my armor instead. I swallowed slowly. So, someone tried to assassinate you. She nodded. Yes. A long silence passed between us. Then I asked the next terrifying question. Do they know the beacon is gone? Her answer came immediately. No good. She looked at me strangely. What are you thinking? I slowly closed the armor again. Then I fastened the back seals. What if we don't remove the beacon from the system? She frowned slightly. Explain. I pointed at the device in her hand. They think it's on you. Yes. But what if we let them keep thinking that? Her eyes narrowed thoughtfully. You intend to use yourself as bait. Not exactly, I said. More like bait with a really angry boarding team. For a moment, the queen simply stared at me. Then, slowly, she smiled. It was the first real smile I had seen from her. You humans, she murmured. What about us? You face death with strange creativity. I shrugged. Desperation helps. She stepped closer again. Then she carefully placed the beacon back inside the armor's inner panel, exactly where it had been before. There, she said quietly. Now they will believe their plan succeeded. I locked the armor shut again. Well, I said, guess I'm officially the galaxy's worst body double. She studied me for a moment. Then she said something that made my chest tighten, unexpectedly. If this plan fails, yeah, I will regret allowing it. I chuckled nervously. Good to know. But she didn't laugh. Instead, she stepped forward and placed her hand gently on the back of my armor, exactly where the beacon rested. Then she spoke softly. Return alive, Elias Mercer. For a moment, I didn't know what to say, so I simply nodded. I'll try. Then I turned and walked toward the armory door. Just before I stepped through it, I glanced back. Queen Lyrith was still standing there, watching, silent, the same way she had been when I first fastened my armor. But this time, I knew why she had gone quiet, because somewhere in the fleet, a traitor believed they had just marked a queen for death, and in a few minutes, they were going to realize they had marked the wrong human.